A night to remember. During the early 70s, and living as a full-blooded, bigoted redneck, there were two schools of thinking about hair. According to me, those who had long hair were lazy, drug-abusing hippies, and those who were short hair were hard-working and were saving grace to the United States. This shows a great amount of deep thinking on my part at the time. I was traveling through a small town just a few miles from home and decided to stop to have a beer. When I walked in, I was surprised to find the bar was filled with a large crowd. I immediately made eye contact with one of those long-haired hippies. I frowned at him and him at me. I made conversation with a few of the other drinkers, but there was no place to sit except at the end of the bar where I had come in. I salvaged a seat before they were all gone and ordered a beer to ensure my seat. As I drank my beer, the long-haired hippie and I made more and more eye contact. It was just so happened that my dad was sitting at the other far end of the bar. I got up at some point and walked down to the bar to talk with my dad. While standing there, the eye contact thing continued to happen. The hippie finally stood up and walked to the restroom. To get to the restroom, he had to walk past me. I said something stupid as he passed. He just kept going. After doing his business, he came back out, walked past me, and said something just as stupid as I'd said to him. That erupted into an argument. My dad, who had heard both sides of the conversation, looked at us both and told us to go back where we came from and sit down. I didn't have any problems with that, so I went back to the other end of the bar, sat down, and ordered another beer. Just what I needed. About the time I got my beer, I looked down the bar and saw that my dad and the hippie were still in discussion, and it looked like it was getting heated. I made my way down the bar, and as they continued, I just knew this was not going to work out well. My dad was usually a very nice guy, but I knew if pushed too hard, he would kick your ass. This was not his first rodeo. I watched the hippie's hands and thought if he doubles up his fist, I'll bust him. Of course, the hippie eventually doubled up his fist. I hit him just behind his ear, and my dad, who'd been anticipating the same, hit him right smack in the nose at the same time. He dropped like a stone. What I didn't realize was that he had 4 brothers with him, and they were standing behind me. Just as I hit the hippie, they slugged me, and the next thing you knew, I was being pummeled by 4 guys. It was my lucky night, though, because it just so happened my dad had been talking with 3 brothers from our hometown, all friends of my dad and myself. They quickly peeled away from the bar and came to help. For the next few minutes, all I could see were fists flying and getting punched in the face. The funniest thing I saw during this outbreak was one of the hippie's brothers had been knocked underneath the shuffleboard table. Each time he tried to get out from under the table, my friend Frankie would punch him again. He'd crawl to the other end of the table, peek his head out, and get hit from a different angle. He would crawl to the other end and get hit again. The owners finally broke up the fight. Nobody was badly hurt, but more than one black eye would be seen in the morning. Of course, they threw us all out of the bar. My dad and I were both in separate cars. As we approached my car, he said, "You're too drunk to drive. Give me your keys." That was the pot calling the kettle black. To avoid any further problems, I gave him my keys. It was just a short cross-country drive on the gravel back roads to get home. Our hometown only had a population of 450 people, so we were far from traveling into a metropolitan area. Dad's house sat on a small hill, and his neighbor's house sat lower by about 20 feet. They shared a driveway. One side went into the neighbor's carport, and the other went to my dad's garage. So, with my dad still driving, he pulled into the driveway. Sounds easy, right? He miscalculated just a little and immediately hit his neighbor's carport. Now, he didn't just bump the carport. He knocked out one of the main supports and dropped the carport on top of my car. We both got out and wondered just what the hell we were going to do now. My dad was a friend of another close neighbor who owned a local service station. They had a wrecker. It was in the middle of the night, but we went to his house and got him out of bed. He understood the problem and went to get the wrecker. When he arrived with the wrecker, he backed up to my car. Then he made the mistake of telling my dad to put the car in neutral. Dad got in the car, put the car in reverse, and put his foot on the gas, and promptly backed into the wrecker. With that, we decided it was time for me to take over. I put the car in neutral, and Dick pulled me out. Aside from a few scratches on the car, no major damage had been done. The car was still drivable. I couldn't complain. Dad had given me the car in the first place. It was my transportation while I attended college. The carport was, of course, destroyed, and my dad had to replace it. The neighbor was, of course, not very happy, but, being a drinker himself, he did understand the situation, and they had no future problem. We finally climbed into bed, and our reign of destruction was over.